What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wayne's World. This is episode number 4, and today's date is April 5th, 2021. First off, I hope all of you had a safe, happy, joyful Easter. Couldn't ask for a more beautiful day. Easter was early this year, and it was the nicest day I can remember having in a long time for Easter. So hopefully everybody was able to enjoy Easter with their families. Um, Next thing I want to talk about, upcoming course schedule. So April 10th is next Saturday, and ISCA is our next class. We still have a few seats that we could fill in that. I will put our information to our website and our schedule on this video for our Facebook and our YouTube and our website, so you know how to get to the registration form. So April 10th is our next class. We have a class on April 18th, April 24th, May 2nd, and May 8th. Those are all concealed pistol licensing classes. So if you want in one of those classes, get a hold of me in some way, call me, email me, text message me, just sign up on the form, whatever. May 1st, we're looking at doing Step 2 defensive pistol course. This may be a private class. I'm still waiting on word from a group of people. If it's not a private class, I will open it up to the public within the next day or two. And if that's the case, that'll be posted on our schedule, and I will put it out there for everybody to sign up. That class will be limited to 12 to 15 people though, and so you're gonna have to get a hold of me because it will fill up fast. I can't have a 30-person class when there's that many moving parts, so it'll be limited. But we're gonna try to do this regularly throughout the summer, a bunch of different courses. So that's our upcoming schedule. We had a class last weekend, not Easter weekend, but the weekend before that. It went off without a hitch. Um, Excellent group of students. I couldn't have asked for a better group to work with. And that seems to be the case with a lot of the classes that I work with. I just, the reason that there's a couple of reasons why I do this. And one of them is because of the people that I meet in these classes. It is refreshing, and it's just a joyful experience to be around, you know, good people that are like-minded and that have the same set of values that I do. And a lot of the people that come to my classes fit that bill. So I've been away for a minute, and I apologize for that. I had a medical complication and had to have unplanned surgery that took me out of commission for a minute. And my goal is to put 1 or 2 videos out a week. And as I do this, I'm going to get better, and I'm going to move outside and move to other locations and do some other stuff like training and things that have nothing to do with firearms or politics or whatever. But for now, I just want to kind of get the word out about a few things. So our last video, we talked about the gun reform that's being pushed, and I went through a lot of those bills in brief detail so you understand what we're up against. And whenever they try to push gun reform, mass shootings events skyrocket. I mean, look at under the Obama administration, we were at an all-time high of mass shootings, and then at the same time they were trying to push gun reform and gun control and all these laws. And then the next administration took over and gun reform wasn't an issue. Mass shooting events didn't occur anywhere near the number they did in the 8 years prior. Well, now we're back to gun reform and mass shootings. And I want to discuss those events that have happened recently a little bit so you understand what happened and the real narrative behind it, not the narrative that the media is trying to push on us. So one event happened March 16th, and this guy, Robert Aaron Long, went to 3 separate massage parlor locations in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And he shot and killed 4 people at the first location, wounded 1, shot 3 people at the second, and killed 3 people at the second location, and killed a person at the third location. And this guy was taken into custody. And every news article that you see describing this event, they push it as a racist, racially motivated, white supremacist event. And that's not true. And the truth of the matter was this guy was an admitted sex addict, and he thought by attacking and taking out those locations that it would take away his addiction, and they wouldn't be a contributing factor to his addiction anymore. Nothing to do with race. In fact, there was white people killed at those locations, and he was a white male. But they try to push it as a racist event because that's what they want the population to think. They want you to think that guns are connected to white supremacy and racial motives and garbage. It's stupid stuff that if you actually open your eyes and look at something, make no sense. But they tried to push that as a racially motivated event. A few days later, um, March 23rd in Boulder, Colorado, this man, his name was El Alawi Alissi, and he was from Syria. He went into a supermarket and ended up killing 10 people. Those 10 people were white people. One of them was the first cop that arrived on the scene, also a white male. And there's little blips of information out there about this, but they don't push it as a racially motivated event. And because the guy was of Middle Eastern descent, but that's said nowhere. You can't see that anywhere unless you dig into it. Then you find out that he was a Syrian immigrant. And Boulder, Colorado already has a ton of gun reform in place. They have all these gun laws, a lot of them that are trying to be pushed on a national level are in place in that location. So nobody in that shopping market had the ability to protect and defend themselves. And had they of had firearms and people have been trained on the use of firearms and had their concealed carry licenses and whatever in that location, I'm certain that that event would have not gotten that bad because somebody or some multiple people would have fought back and it would have lessened the damage that was done tremendously. And so that's the downside. That's the major downside of them taking away our firearms. We don't have the ability to protect ourselves. Criminals don't follow laws. So who is gun reform and gun laws going to affect? It's going to affect us, the law-abiding population. So we need to know this. Then on April 1st, there was another event where this man, Aminadab Gaxiolo Gonzalez, went into a business complex and killed 4 people. 2 females, a male, and he shot and killed a 9-year-old boy also. Got in a shootout with the cops, got shot himself. Last I checked, he was in critical condition, could be facing the death penalty if he wakes up, but those people obviously didn't have the ability to protect themselves. And they didn't push it as a racially motivated event because the guy's obviously of Latino descent. And they don't put a lot of the information out there because, number one, that happened in California, where there's already all of these gun laws in place that stop law-abiding citizens from being capable of fighting back. And the guy was not white, so they can't put their spin on it. And they put the news media, our politicians, Hollywood, TV shows, our professional sport um, organizations, uh, big business, they all like to put this spin and this narrative on everything. Because if you're bombarded with the same information repetitively, eventually with some people that's going to get through and you're going to believe it. And now we have all these people in this country that believe that America's a racist country. I 100% do not believe that's true. If you were ever in the military, the Marine Corps where I was at, I mean, it's a melting pot of races. And we might joke around about certain things, but race had no bearing on anything. And it has it in anything that I've done in my life. And now they're trying to push it to where it's getting backwards, where there's all of this stuff that white people aren't allowed to do that people of other races are allowed to do, and that's racism in and of itself. Like for instance, there's this county in California, I think it's Marin County, that's putting out this stipend where they're going to take. I got it here. So I apologize for having to look at this. They're going to take and they're going to take 125 low-income mothers living in Marin County and give them $1,000 a month for 2 years. Only mothers of color are eligible. If that's not racism, I do not know what is. How can you limit someone by color? If it was reverse, if it was mothers of color are not eligible, you know how bad that would be? You know how much that would blow up and cause problems? But it's okay like this. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to They're trying to make us a racist country, but in reverse. And here's another thing, Coca-Cola. I swear on my life that I will never, and I don't drink soda anyways. I primarily drink water, and every once in a while I'll have something like a coffee or something. That's it. And but I will never in my life buy a Coca-Cola product ever again. First off, the CEO of Coca-Cola came out and he told his employees to be less white, and there was all of these ways that you could be less white. That's racism. And then he just came out and basically scolded Georgia for trying to put voter ID laws in place. And people out there are trying to say that forcing someone to show ID when they vote is racist. Use some common sense. How is that racist? You have to have an ID to do anything. In Coca-Cola, they said that the CEO said that the racist Georgia voter ID law is a step backwards and unacceptable. But to get into Coca-Cola's annual shareholder meeting, you got to show an ID. So how is one racist and the other isn't? Delta Airlines, and I've flown hundreds of thousands of miles on Delta Airlines. And if I ever have a choice to not do so and fly with some other airlines, I will. Sometimes I don't have a choice because I don't buy a lot of my plane tickets. But they came out and said the same thing. Voter ID is racist, but you got to have an ID to get on an airplane. How does that work? You got to have an ID to do anything. You have to have an ID to get a post office box. You have to have an ID to buy many different items, alcohol, tobacco, spray paint, all this stuff. You have to have an ID to do. But using it for voting, which is more important than any of that other stuff, makes it racist. That is the dumbest thing. And if you buy into that crap, you're probably part of the problem in this country. There's a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is any of you because I'm guessing if you're watching this, you're not one of the sheep. There's a lot of people that buy into this stuff, and it's a sad state of affairs. And what's going on in our country right now, and all of this negative stuff that's happening to us as a population, it's not new. It's just they've just shifted into high gear because the last 4 years wasn't part of their agenda, and they've been slowly pushing us down this path since at least the end of World War II, if not prior to that. And I mean, there's always been people in control running puppet strings. I mean, before America was even America, there was people in control, like the royals in England, and then we come here and there's still people that are have some control of the population, and they're trying to make us fight amongst ourselves for any reason that they can find. And I mean, think about it. We fight amongst ourselves because of race. We fight amongst ourselves because of politics. We fight amongst ourselves because of religion. We fight amongst ourselves because of different beliefs. Um, to wear a mask or to not wear a mask, to get vaccinated or to not get vaccinated, pro-choice or pro-life, whether we should open our borders or keep them closed. We're fighting for a million different reasons. And if you would, if everybody just had the mindset of I'm going to believe what I believe, and you can believe what you believe, and as long as your beliefs don't affect me or anybody else negatively, then by all means have at it. But that's not where we're at these days. We've come to the point in the world that we live in where I've lost my words here for a minute, but we have deemed feelings and emotions more important than facts and reality. And this is getting dangerous. And this is how they want us to be. They want to erase our history because if you don't remember history, you're doomed to repeat it. So, because the beginning of America, there was slaves and people fought and died to stop the slavery, mind you. America is still a racist country because of that belief, and it's just plain not true. It's just plain absolutely not true. But Anyway, so we need the reason that I'm doing this, the reason that I'm starting this YouTube channel, the reason that I'm trying to connect to the population is because we need to come together, regardless of voice or regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of political beliefs, regardless of any of that stuff. If we want to make it through this time period that we're currently sitting in intact, then we need to stop quarreling amongst ourselves. And that's the God's honest truth. And I know I say this in almost every video, but this is the reason why I run for sheriff. That's the reason why I teach these firearms classes. And it's because I care about people in general and the people around me in the area that I live. And I want to do anything and everything that I can to make this a safer place, to help protect the good, honest people of my community. And that, I think, is the vast majority of us. And we need to open our eyes. We are lied to about so much stuff, and it's beginning to have a major effect on our country. All these things that we are lied to about, and the truth of the matter is, once you open your eyes and you see one lie, then you start to get flooded and see the rest of the lies. But you gotta get through that first step. Once you get past that first step, you're like, oh my God, if I was lied to about that, if I've been lied to about that my whole entire life, what else am I lied to about? What else do I believe is true that just plain isn't? I mean, take the idea of, and I talked about this in my first video, that of UFOs and Bigfoot and things like that. We've been taught that that's all nonsense and make believe. But on in April, I think it was April of 2020, our Pentagon released 3 UFO videos that were taken by Navy pilots. And they released it in April of 2020 because what else was going on in April of 2020? The pandemic was out of control. And all the news that you ever seen anywhere was about the pandemic and this virus and how many people were dying and how many people were getting sick. And we're shutting down the country and all these places are closed. And how are we going to support ourselves? And shutting down our borders and all this stuff was going on. And perfect timing to release a little piece of information like that because it can be easily missed. But look it up. Look up Pentagon releases UFO videos, and you will find these videos that were put out there, and they were taken by Navy pilots, and some of them were taken as long ago as the 90s. And it shows these things in the sky that are moving in a way that we don't have the ability or the know-how to do. In fact, the way these things are moving, number one, go against the laws of physics, and number two, go against the law of gravity. And so that's one little lie that's been perpetuated for a long time. We're not alone. What's out there, I have no idea. But if you look at the size of the universe and you look at Earth, we're non existent. We're insignificant. You can't even see us. And so all of this other space is just completely unoccupied, and we are the only beings in existence. That's impossible. And I mean, I look into this stuff quite often, and it's interesting to me. It's an interesting topic, and they have found all of these possibly habitable planets in our or in our galaxy, or I don't know what the word is, but what they do is they find a star, which our sun is a star, and then there's this Goldilocks zone where a planet has to be within a certain proximity of that sun to not get too hot or too cold. And they found all of these places out there which are better suited for life than Earth, possibly. And I mean, yeah, they're light years away, but so all of these other places, if they have life, who's to say that life isn't millions of years older and millions of years more advanced than we are, to where they have somehow come up with the technology to come here? And I mean, that's just one thing that could open your eyes. And if that you open your eyes to that and you start seeing that, then you start to think to yourself, well, gee, you know, what else is out there that I'm unaware of, that I've always been told is make believe? Which is where I got to the idea of, man, maybe Bigfoot is real. There's tens of thousands of people that have put Bigfoot reports out there, pictures, videos, and I mean, there's not a lot of real good video out there, but maybe that thing, whatever it is, has the ability to sense cameras and infrared and technology and electronics, and that way they stay away from them. So who knows? I don't know. And if you start looking into other people's channels, there's some people out there that I really trust that put this information out there. David Paulides in Missing 411 is one of them. This dude's a former police detective who puts the facts of the situation out there. And he has criteria that missing people have to fit within to be part of his population of missing people. And there's tens of thousands of them. People who were near water. There was a weather event somewhere in the time period of when this person went missing. Um, there's a certain place in time where this person, if they were with other people, you can tell separated from them. And some of these people vanished without a trace. Dogs can't even smell their scent. They never to be seen or heard from again. Just poof, disappeared. And then there's other people who their bodies are found, but they're found in a way or a location that would be impossible. Like they're found in an area that's been searched 25 times, or they're found in a condition years later that it would be impossible for this person to be out in the elements and be in this condition. So look into the David Paulides Missing 411. That'll open your eyes to something. And there's other people out there. This guy Lou Elizondo, who used to work for the government and run this program that would look into this UFO phenomenon, whatever it is. Well, now he's a civilian and he puts information out there. Do I mean I, is this stuff real? I don't know. Is it possible? Hell yes, it's possible. But it's a way to open your eyes. If your eyes start getting open to that stuff, the idea that, hey, maybe we've been lied to about this for our whole lives, then you start to open your eyes to, man, maybe the news is lying to me. Maybe these politicians aren't telling the truth. Maybe some of this so-called conspiracy theories that I've heard, maybe there is some truth to them. And I mean, even the word conspiracy theorist, that came from the JFK assassination. Back then, most people just believed what they were told by the government and the news media. In the JFK situation, there's some unanswered questions to that. And people were starting to question it. And that's where the term conspiracy theorist came from. And there's so many situations that have taken place since then that we're fed this official narrative, which doesn't match the reality of the situation. And I don't want to get into it, but look at 9/11. I am absolutely dumbfounded to how that situation happened. Absolutely dumbfounded. But you know what did happen because of it? We lost some of our rights. I mean, look at how much more control our government has and since 9/11. That's when I think we took the big turn for the the way we are now. And what I mean by that is like now all of a sudden um, electronics control everything, which back then, I mean, it was just starting to get popular, cell phones and the internet and stuff like that. And now all of a sudden, people's beliefs and feelings matter more than truth and facts and reality. And it's so that all started during 9/11, in my opinion. And I mean, someone's lying to us about something there. Three buildings fell from fire when those three buildings were all designed to be plane proof and fireproof. And they're the only three skyscrapers in existence to fall. I mean, how does that happen? Did it happen the way they said? Maybe, but it doesn't seem to fit the narrative. And there's so many other situations like that. This last, and I'm probably going to get kicked off YouTube for this, but this last election, there's so much proof out there of cheating and fraud and all this other stuff that it's apparent. And there's still people out there that be like, oh, you're full of it. But when I see proof, when I see actual proof, how can you refute it? And they say, well, it went through the court systems. No, it didn't. Our Supreme Court refused to see anything on the grounds of standing. So nothing was seen in the Supreme Court about this. And I don't think any of this agenda is for the betterment of us and our country. So put corrupt useless, bought off politicians in control. Take away our guns, open our borders. It's those three things don't fit together. And I mean, opening our border right now, we have a flood of people at our borders, a flood, and it's out of control. And the Biden administration is letting these people loose into our country, and that's not the way things are supposed to be. This is our country. Our ancestors fought for this country. Your ancestors and your people did what they did to your country, and that's the way it is. And if you want to fix it, fix it. And, I mean, easier said than done, obviously, but we can't just open our borders and let everybody in the world that wants to come here come here. And if you think that, then you're absolutely nuts. Yeah, I feel for people that live in dangerous, poor places, but that's not a reason why we should have to let them here and support them. And so our border's out of control while they're trying to take away our guns and limit our rights through our politicians. So that's why I'm doing this. We need to put a group of people together that have one voice. And if I have to lead that group of people, so be it. And I will put myself on the line. And I mean, that's my whole intent behind just about everything that I do. The firearms classes that I teach, the fact that I ran for sheriff, putting this out there. And it's because I care about the idea of what America is supposed to be. And I care about the people of my community. And I want to open your eyes, open your brains, and get us connected. So share this video. I know it's not the most exciting stuff yet, but we'll get there. We'll get better at it. I'm going to go on a few rants from time to time, so bear with me. But share this video. Get people to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook page, and our website, especially my website. Subscribe to my website. You might not get a lot from it, but it gives me your information to where if everything else gets shut down, and eventually it will, then we have a way to hopefully still communicate back and forth. And I have a way to get word to you. So please do that. I'll be back soon. If you want to sign up for a class, do so. If you are even on the same page remotely of what I'm on, then spread this information out there. And I appreciate your time and effort. And until next time, have a great day.